Okay, so I am back playing S.P.Q.R. again after quite a while. So let's see. I was just clicking randomly here through the city to explore. There's nothing much I was doing, and then the next day happened. Lucius. Surveillance notes. Unbearable stench in suspect Sybil's alleyway. Access V111. What's that even supposed to mean? Two freed women walked by, screeching about calamities destroying Rome. Must remember I am getting double my usual fee. Must remember to look into Cornelius's disappearance. If he leaves this world, how many are left who know what my family achieved, have failed to carry on the memory? This doesn't really do much. I take thee, beloved. Maybe I should read this first. Pernicious rumors. The office of the Praetorian prefects issued a warning against carriers of pernicious rumors threatening the capital with imminent destruction. There is no doubt that this rumor is the work of plotters and traitors now awaiting trial, and any person guilty of its propagation must be legitimately considered accessory to their crimes. During yesterday's session of the Senate, it was pointed out by several speakers that an additional effort is needed on the part of the priestly colleges and the vigilists in order to enforce the emperor's edict prohibiting any kind of magic and superstition. Right. I take thee, beloved. Gordian told me his wife wants their daughter Stella to become a Vestal Virgin. One Vestal must leave or die for another to be chosen by the Emperor. Okay. Stella's and my paths seem linked. The Emperor has asked me to stay on as a Vestal beyond my tenure, but I think more and more each day about leaving the order. Those words that the Emperor Marcus Aurelius whispered to me on my first day as a Vestal echo in my mind. So probably these words, I take thee, beloved, is what the Emperor said to Verania. An empty larder. I must do something to increase business. The city is frightened. But why don't the citizens come to me? Calamidas is among us. Who is he? How does he plan to destroy Rome? Oh, already, of course, assuming gender on the Calamidas. Could be a woman. I think I'm skipping dates here, right? Thunderbolts of Jupiter. Was the thunderstorm and rainstorm that visited the city last night by no means a portent of vengeance, as though by some in fact further testifies to the favor shown to us by the heavenly powers? Being the god of thunder and lightning, how else one would expect Jupiter Optimus Maximus to be demonstrating his approval of our authorities? As for his vengeance, it will most certainly descend on all those who conspired or may conspire against the rule of our godlike Emperor Septimus Severus and the sacred imperial family. Never before has the empire been so eminently secure. I'm just confused. Why would it skip dates? So we have 2 here. VS. We should read this as well then. Make the Romans tremble. Am I the calamities that the Sibyl speaks of? Does she have the power to read my mind? Am I the one whose name is on everyone's lips? Am I the beast the entire city fears? So we're missing out on this and this, and now we're gonna read this. A roadblock. I've tried for an audience with Severus several times, but he avoids me. I need to discuss his desire for me to stay on as a vessel past my time, but he won't discuss the matter. He cannot avoid me forever. There are too many public events that require us both to be present. I will take him aside the next chance I get. Reaching out. I sent Crixus with a message to the palace requesting an audience with the emperor. Severus has had 3 new personal astrologers this week alone. I wrote him that the stars say I will stay with him for a long time. The risk is high in making myself known to the emperor, but it is time I make my own bid for power. I'm the great Sibyl after all. So like Sibyl is like is secretly being like a fortune teller, and nobody of the authorities is supposed to know that. That's interesting. Why does it keep skipping dates? It wasn't like that before, right? It would just put one date. We're missing out here. So we're already at this point. I'm a little bit confused now. Now they close even. Like, I'm not sure what to do here. I don't know if I can just... We're just gonna have to load a save, right? I don't want to miss out on stuff because of the stupid thing skipping dates. I had the idea that it might have been doing that as well, because the letters opened and closed as well. Just weird. We've also read this. Let's see. We go from 3 to this. Seems fair. We've read that. roadblock. Reaching out. Yeah, now we're doing it again. We just skip this. Achilles' heel. I attempted to see the chief engineer, Gordian, but his clerk said he would be out all day. Gordian and I don't exactly get on well, although we have an occasional cup of wine to keep the peace. It took a lot for me just to go to Gordian's office. He's responsible for my living above a wine shop. I should find out if there are any weaknesses in the buildings of Rome that Calamidas might exploit. Fire is a constant threat. Might there be others? Not what I seem. I have found myself again. I realize I have become too Roman in my attempt to fit in. The irony, of course, is that I've been passing as a Greek. I have begun final preparations. I have stockpiled a few supplies I will need, and I have outfitted my hiding place. I have begun to drop hints to my landlord that I have received letters from my family back in Corinth saying my brother is ill. I may be needed back in Greece. An unwanted visitor. My cleric mentioned that Lucius tried to make an appointment to interview me about a case he has been assigned. I managed to avoid him quite nicely. I really don't like him. He comes from a noble family, but he has fallen to such debt and seems to wallow in his rough business. I also think he carries a grudge for something I've done, but I cannot think of what it could be.
I am Sybil. The order of women is in decay. It crumbles from within. Beware the holy women. That'll fix that harpy, Verania. I have more clients than she has worshippers. A toast to success.
Right. The next one should be it's add second, right? No? Pride-y, none? I don't know how this month thing works. My young sister, I spent the morning with Vulvia, helping her wrap her hair in the white band of ribbons. She has been with us 10 years. She has learned the rituals well, but she has not conquered her unruly red curls. I remember the day she came to us. I cut off her hair and hung it in the lotus tree in the sacred grove of Vesta. The wind blew the red strands in and around the branches. So we go from pretty none to none. Back to work. Surveillance on Sybil brings me nothing but grief. Her Thracian goon stands across the street and stares at me. I have given up hope of remaining incognito. In the dark, I am slowly moving my belongings out of the insula. After the tenants have gone to sleep, on the way back the other night, I was attacked by a street hooligan. I showed him a few moves I used on larger men when I was traveling with the brigands. I left him lying in a viscous of the Via Nova. Company on my travels. Lucius followed me on my errands today. I spotted him the moment I turned the corner around the Arch of Severus. I dropped some useless Syrian coin down the well at the Lacus Curtius. I turned back to see Lucius peering down the well, trying to see what I'd thrown down. He's somewhat attractive when he's bent over a wall, wiggling for a better view. His toga rolled up high over his hip. I wonder if I have any love potions. My thoughts will corrupt me. Right. Seems innocent. Yeah, we're skipping dates again. But this one has nothing to say. That's weird. So the second one here. The end of education. This is gonna be difficult to read. Stop it! Work at the tabularium under Gordian has become unbearable. The moment I decided I was ready to carry out my plan to destroy Rome, it was the same moment I realized I had nothing left to learn. I have what I need to succeed. It is time to stop. Going to work at the tabularium. Farewell, Gordian. Farewell, Hanno. Farewell, my false life. An absence. Xanthus failed to appear for work today. Perhaps he is ill and forgot to send a message. I had hoped for his help today with the inspection of the temple of the defied Julius. It went well without him anyway, but it is strange about his absence. He has not missed a day of work in the last year. Is it Hanno who is the Mullinger? Always late, constantly missing days. You're skipping dates again. What are we? LV and then X. We'll just read this. Memories. I came of age in my father's house, but I never felt I was part of his or my sister's world. From the beginning I was alone, while other boys had slaves to escort them to school. I had to fend off unsavory types in the forum. In the evenings my father read to my sisters, but when I entered the room the story always ended. It always seems that my sisters knew the mysteries of my mother's disappearance, a secret they never shared with me. That's kind of weird how girls are
If I were to leave the Order of the Vestals, then there would be a place open for Stella. But I am not sure I would wish this life on another. I cannot afford to entertain these thoughts of helping Stella to become a Vestal. It has been a wonderful life, but it has led to loneliness, and now a kind of restlessness I have never known.
right. I'm just saying for the time, I think it would be weird that the daughters are getting some better care than the boy. But who knows? A special place. I stumbled into an old well where people had thrown coins and mementos. I went above ground to investigate. The well turned out to be the site of the Lacus Curtius. Romans throw coins and objects into the well and wish good health for the emperor. Severus shouldn't fear illness. He should fear me. Now we're skipping stuff again. Like every time. So we need to read this 3 and then we're reading these 2. Like at least it's nice that they're never seem to be at the same time, right? So it's not like Lucius says something the one day and then the next day again. The Roman months. The days are not numbered individually, but in relation to 3 special days in the month. The calends is the first day of the month. The nons is the 7th day in long months, and the 5th day in short months, and in Februaries. The ides is the 15th of the month in long months, and the 13th in short months. The number of the day is calculated by so many days before the calends, nons, or ides. The days before a named day is Pride, the eve on that day. The lady. My students came to me again today. She learns quickly. I have no doubt that now that she has true powers that only need to be nourished. If she were to cultivate her powers, what she could accomplish, the thought makes me faint, and I would be her teacher, always at her side. She has an accent and a familiar manner. I wonder who she is. Marriage. As I record these thoughts in my journal, Pomponia nags me to put out the candle. She claims it casts a glow into her bedroom. I beg for a few more minutes to record my thoughts, but the evening breeze seems to be on her side. Other Romans. I woke in the middle of the night and listened to the sounds of the city. I tried to imagine what had happened in the streets. Are there people of the night that I have never seen? The carts rumble through Rome's streets each night, coming from all points of the temple, all points of the empire. I wonder about the library at Alexandria, the blue painted faces of the Britons, soldiers, the merchants of Carthage, the thinkers of Athens. Yeah, I was suspicious of this text. Romans have 2 versions of the story of this place. The more famous version claims that the Lacus is named for a brave Roman soldier, Marcus Cartius. An abyss formed on the site. Priest said a sacrifice was needed. Marcus Cartius offered himself. He then rode his horse straight into the abyss. The abyss closed up, but what of his horse? I don't know. We're not skipping anything here. The arms of darkness. Dreams again of Syria and the past. I woke to an unusual vehicles rumbling in the streets. The sounds of the night comfort me. It is daylight, I have begun to fear. I think back to when I first came to Rome as a slave. I would lie awake at night and plan the demise of my master, but soon I would be distracted by the sounds of the far points of the empire coming to Rome in horse-drawn transports. My wife. Unfortunately, Pomponia is good with numbers. She examined my income and accounts, and she is excited by the result. She urges me to petition Severus to be made a candidatus laticlavis, since my wealth qualifies me for the Senate. Perhaps if I were to achieve a higher office, Pomponia would give up this notion of Stella joining the Vestals. Prefectus Annone would be an excellent appointment, a, a lot of power being in charge of the grain supply. Right. Imperial family gathers. This Manibus. Today is the beginning of the Parentalia. Roman people never lacked in piety and will no doubt observe their sacred obligations to their dead. Sit Mortius Terra Levis. Under the beneficent rule of our most fortunate and most powerful Emperor Septimius Severus, every Roman, living or not, is allowed full rights to receive his due and fulfill his duty. The sacred imperial family plans to gather for a private ceremony at the palace in order to commemorate the shades of their very own dear ones with sacrifice and libation. And one expects that every citizen is following with joy so illustrious an example. To the source, I interviewed Sextus, the building porter, Gaius the Aquarius, 3 cart drivers, 2 litter attendants, and 4 men named Lucius, who made me fear as if I was talking to myself. Nothing on Calamitis. Then I spent the evening with murderers and housebreakers, but they know nothing of Calamitis. And they don't care either. Calamitis doesn't interest them. Night Terror. I walked in the sacred grove today, hoping that Faunus would speak to me of my future, and as I went to sleep tonight, I hoped that I would have a dream revealing my day ahead, and I woke in fear, remembering that as a holy person, I can have only true dreams from the gates of ivory, not false one from the gates of horn. What if I dream a road I do not want to travel? My lie. I told my landlord that I have to travel back to Corinth immediately. My brother has died and my family needs me. If he only knew the truth. I said my goodbyes in the district, although there are few who know me. I made a major event of my leaving for Corinth. People waved goodbye to me who had never waved hello. Right. It's kind of weird how he claims that he said to his landlord that he's going, and also that his brother was ill, and also that he said to the people in his neighborhood that he was going away. But then Gordian didn't even know that he was going away, or he's just not showing up to Gordian. He's probably afraid. XS VG. The Cave of Darkness. The origins of Rome are celebrated during the Lupercalia, the root of the world's ruin. the beginning of the murdering, but when the priests tell the story, they forget to mention that Remus was contemptuous that Romulus was chosen to be king and build Rome, and so he stepped over the sacred boundary of the city, and Romulus killed Remus for this disrespect. A brother killing a brother, how typically Roman, of the murderous founders of this city and this empire. I am Sybil. Rome celebrates her beginnings. The wolf suckles the twins. I mean, look at this. That's a puzzle about Romulus and Remus' story. The wolf suckles the twins, and a people are saved so that a city may be built. Right. I took forward to the Lupercalia today. All those well-dressed men racing through the streets, smacking spectators with goat skins so they may be fertile. I will never have children, too old, too wizened. My youth dried up, my heart crushed, so young in the Syrian desert. The beginning. Today we celebrate the origins of Rome. Romulus and Remus were twin born of the Vestal Virgin and the war god Mars. They were thrown into the Tiber by an enemy and washed ashore at Rome. A she-wolf suckled the babies, Romulus and Remus, until a royal herdsman and his wife rescued them. An omen of birds said that Romulus should be king and should build a city where he and Remus had washed ashore. A morning off. I paid the litter attendant with a silver coin bearing the image of Septimius Severus, and he took me around the Palatine Hill to the Lupercal cave. I was very excited about the sacrifice, even though I felt guilty about leaving work. Hanno sent a message for me before the sacrifice began. I had to return to the tabularium to take bits to replace a collapsed insula by the Argilatum. I don't know how people can live so near the stench of the leather works. From the Praetorian office. It came to our notice that the noxious rumors are being spread in connection with an incident which occurred yesterday during the festival celebrations at the cave Lupercal. The matter must by no means blown out of proportion. The festivities started with the most auspicious sacrifice of the goat and a dog, their entrails forecasting ever glorious future for Rome. At the exalted moment, an unidentified person in a mask rushed in and attacked the altar with an axe. The outraged celebrants failed to apprehend the blasphemer owing to the criminal negligence of the two guards, who were thereafter dishonorably discharged from the imperial service. First taken for a madman, the offender must have in fact entered an earlier complicity with the recent traitor of cursed memory, which constitutes yet a further proof of the widespread conspiratorial network that needs to be exposed and suppressed. Consequently, it is imperative to make clear that this act of iniquity was the work of human and not celestial agency. As such, it can in no sense be considered an ill omen, and it follows that any agitation implying the opposite has to be prosecuted on the charge of impiety in accordance with full severity of the law. Dura lex sed lex. I don't think we can go back even. So this is in mid-Mars. I don't know if I've read that down already. I'm pretty sure yes. This is the Temple of Vesta, right? No. Let's go to the next day. From the X of the Arval brothers, the Sacred College met on the Quirinial Hill to atone for the sacrilege committed by the malefactor against the sanctuary of Lupercal. 6 white bulls were sacrificed to Jupiter, Mars, and Quirinius. Following are the words of the prayer delivered by the Magister Fraterum. O Jupiter Optimus Maximus, Mars Victor, Quirinius Pater, we pray and ask and entreat that you preserve and protect and render safe the sacred persons of our Emperor L. Septimius Severus, Caesar Augustus, Arabicus Parthicus, the father of the fatherland, and all the imperial family, while we offer to you sacrificial victims in our name and authority as the Arval brothers. A major event. I heard there was an incident at the Lupercal cave during the sacrifice, some kind of destruction of the altar. Maybe there's a connection to Calamides. I tried to take the litter around the Palatine Hill to the Lupercal cave. The litter attendant would only take a silver coin with the Emperor's image on it, which I didn't have, so I walked. I usually enjoy the revelry of the Lupercalia. The boys run through the streets, striking everyone they pass with strips of goat skin. Shocking events. Not only did I miss the sacrifice of the Lupercal, but I missed the stranger who attempted to sabotage the event. This beast did manage to damage the altar, an inconceivable act. The Lupercalia celebrates Rome's beginnings, but I'm not sure which gods are worshipped. The entire city is abuzz with the events of the Palatine. Even Hanno, the Carthaginian, has taken an interest in the incident. He's not a bad assistant. Oh, actually you could. It's interesting. You could actually skip forward to notes. If I'm missing something, then I could also just click here to go back. It's interesting. I don't know if I should have been on this date at the Lupercal cave. Maybe if I was there at that date, I could have prevented that from happening. I actually don't know. What do we have here? Alex, VS. An eyewitness. A pastry vendor told me he saw the Lupercal sacrifice interrupted. A stranger completely covered in a cloak rushed in and smashed the altar with an axe. Could this be Calamidas? The Lupercal cave is in some ways where Rome began. If I were Calamidas, that's where I would strike to inspire terror. Perhaps this incident is a clue to his identity. Beneath the Forum. My hiding place is in one of the underground passages between the Rostra and the Temple of the Defied Julius. The Rostra end of the subterranean passage is the best way to exit this underground of Rome. I can also drop down into the Cloaca Maxima if I need a quick escape, but the stench... ... A heinous crime. The Luperci priest reported an horrendous incident during the sacrifice of at the Lupercal cave. A stranger interfered with the ceremony and damaged the altar before disappearing. Disrespect to the priest cannot be abided. I had to see the sense of the crime myself, so I went to the cave and I almost wept at what I saw. Across the Great Divide, business always picks up during the Festival of the Dead. Everyone always wants to talk to their dead relatives, see how they are getting on in Hades, etc. I wonder about how my own relatives. I can only assume my mother and my father are dead. They would be very old if they aren't. I haven't seen them in over 40 years, not since I was sold into bondage and left Syria, tossed aside by my very own parents. Not even very own, but yeah, if you're really... Well, I'm not even gonna say it. LG.
The dead of the family de Parentis are remembered during this time of the Parentalia. I have one person to commemorate, but I'm not even sure if she's dead. I was told my mother disappeared when I was young. My father made it clear that I shouldn't ask any questions about her. I think of my mother as having died. It helps to answer unasked questions.
A journey. I took the afternoon to find Xanthus' apartments. All city maps are out of date. They would be out of date if they were drawn yesterday. The city changes constantly and swiftly. Sanctus' landlord said he had been called back to Corinth by his family, but one of his neighbors claimed to have seen him by the rostra the day before. The landlord said I was welcome to look in his apartment, although it had been already relet. The Veralia. Today is the final day of the Parentalia, the day of publicity, to publicly commemorate the dead. I left food for my father at his tomb on the Appian Way outside the city. I have missed him all these years. He played hide and seek with me when I was small, and then before I was grown, I was taken from him and placed in the order, and then he was gone. In memory of the dead, I left poisoned food for my long-gone soldier at his tomb. The hate in me still burns after over 40 years, but then I awoke in the middle of the night, love buried in my entire body. Love burned in my entire body. The line between odium and adoration is as thin as a thread in a loom. Well, I guess I'm gonna save it there. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.